I see the spinning wheel. It already says, boom, you're live.
We're live right now? Oh, yeah.
That's what it says. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Who Are These Spiritualists with your host, Stacy Shull. I am so excited to be here. It's the fourth Sunday of every month. I do a little podcast show about who are these spiritualists, and it talks about modern day spiritualists, talks about the history of spiritualism, the philosophy, science, religion of spiritualism, everything that has something to do with what it means to be a spiritualist. And I'm excited because I have a second time appearing guest, Tom Daly, with me this evening, because we're going to talk about really what it is to be a spiritualist or classifications of being a spiritualist. We are live, so you can comment in the comment link questions or your own opinion and share with what you might feel during our discussion. This is, though, recorded, and some people might be watching on replay. So if you're watching it on replay and you have a question, put it in the comment section and we will try to get back to you. So Lilydale is in full swing. This season has officially opened, but I'm still keeping up with who are these spiritualists, and because I think it's important. I think that we are in a prime energetic time to rediscover spiritualism, what it means for those of us who are spiritualists, how spiritualism should look for those, wondering and curious about spiritualism, and how it should look to other religions and people who practice other faiths and religions. So tonight's topic, though, is classification. So I have to tell you all, if you don't know, I met Tom years ago because of a connection of spiritualism. I was working at Morris Pratt Institute. Tom decided, I think I want to be a Morris Pratt student. And through synchronicities in spirit, he came to Lilydale to help us out at our coffee house. He is like a spiritual son to me and my wife, and I'm super excited to have you on tonight, Tom. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for that nice little historical introduction. That was nice.
Yes.
It's lovely to be on your Emmy Award-winning show.
Where's that Emmy?
I'm waiting for the box set. Actually, we're looking for caller 92. Caller 92 gets the autographed box set. Light up those lines.
Yes, I love it. Oh, so tonight's topic is interesting because Tom and I seem to banter back and forth with ideas about how we define ourselves as a spiritualist, where we'd like to see the spiritualist movement going, evolvement through spiritualism throughout the centuries and the histories or the decades of spiritualism. And Tom, it was actually you that I was like, oh my God, we got to talk about this on my show, because you came up with the idea of classifying spiritualists because it's so different. People who, practice spiritualism do it so differently. And so tell me a little bit about how this idea came to you or was inspired.
It's just observation. I think I just recognize like some patterns or tendencies or whatever. Classifications that's probably the right word. I don't know. Like, because you got the denomination of spiritualism as the umbrella. We kind of all fit under this umbrella. Like we all are affirmed to life after death. Perhaps some of us are believers. But like there's like little compartments, kind of similar to like Christianity in a way. There's like the Catholic people that are super orthodox, and then there's like the Baptists over here that kind of did some stuff, and then there's the Methodists and there's like all these different nuance, the facets on the beautiful diamond of the spiritualist movement, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. And fantastic.
Yeah,
So I know you have some, so let's talk about them. We're
going right to it.
We're gonna jump right in. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is what it's about. So many people go, what is it to be a spiritualist? And you're right. You said the one main thing is that we believe life is continuous. We believe that communication with this realm and or the next, whatever you want to call it, is not even probable. It is absolute through mediumship.
Yeah.
And, we believe in some form of source, right? Those are like the standard pegs.
I think, yeah, the top three kind of things. I know there's like a bunch of different principles and all those different kind of classifications, but yeah, I mean, people come to spiritualism as a believer, perhaps. They believe in life after death, or they had an experience maybe. But then, through the process of, observing mediumship or partaking in communication, I think that belief shifts to knowing, or that it becomes an affirmation. Like, you received substantial evidence that can't be refuted. So you don't believe anymore. You just know that it's true. Because like Burroughs, Hugh Gordon Burroughs, the Becoming a Spiritualist, the little blue book that everyone loves.
Yeah.
For all the great reasons. He would say that as like belief is the absence of knowledge. And evidence is knowledge, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's like really unique about spiritualism as a religion, because I think most religions are faith-based.
Sure.
And I don't see spiritualism as a faith-based. We don't worship things,
right?
Like it's different. We're kind of in this other different world. So I just wanted to like lay that groundwork going forward, I suppose.
It's a great groundwork to lay too, because as we talk about some of these classifications, Tom and I are going to share our own personal opinions and reminding everybody there are personal opinions. That's the great thing about spiritualism too. It allows for different thought. It's not like Tom was saying, very rule-based. Our principles are different depending on sometimes what church you belong to, but the basic foundation is there. And knowledge is power. I was always told, I know you guys probably hear me say this 100 million times, but I say it all the time because when I heard it, it just hit home. It said that, spiritualism is not a religion of conversion, but conviction.
Yeah.
And I love that because you're right. The more you start to learn, have the knowledge of, seek the information for, the more it becomes a truth versus a faith or even a belief.
Constant unfolding.
Absolutely. So, but that being said, there's a lot of different opinions and truths for every spiritualist. Some, might be more traditional, some might be more radical, and there's these classifications, which I think is really needed in this time to help redefine who we are as the spiritualist movement. That's my opinion.
Sure.
And so when Tom brought up this idea of classifications, I'm like, let's discuss and let's do it live.
Pressure's on.
So tell me which first classification. Let's start talking about them. So what's the first classification you have come up with?
Well, we were talking when this whole idea got going, we were talking about, of course, the great debate in spiritualism, the hot topic. We're talking about the R word, reincarnation.
And I thought you might say religion for a moment too, just because of my beliefs, but you're right, reincarnation.
Yeah. Well, so then, we were talking about reincarnation, and I was talking about the Theosophical movement and how that kind of spun off spiritualism in its heyday and kind of just became its own thing. And a lot of spiritualists like kind of jumped ship for that movement. And then over the years, especially like in the 60s and 70s, like it really kind of got entangled with the spiritualist movement. So you get all of this thought, like, the theory of reincarnation, the ascended masters, chakras, the root races, all of that stuff. When I hear people say, "Oh, are you an Atlantean or a Lemurian or I need to
I
open
do
up
know
my,
what you're saying about.
you know what I'm saying? People say these things, like I got to open up my chakra so I can do the mediumship and stuff. But I don't know. I hear a bunch of different things from different people. It's never really very uniform. But that's where it came from. So I'm like, oh, well, a theosophical spiritualist, maybe they have an understanding. A lot of people take wisdom from the ascended masters and they internalize that. Maybe they've had their own experience with reincarnation, though it can't be objectively proven at this moment in time.
Right.
Could be quite possibly true to them. So that's what kind of spun this whole idea we were talking about, that kind of distinction, the people that absorb those theosophical teachings into their spiritualist practice.
Yeah.
So that's one. I mean, Blavatsky blended a lot of like occult teachings, esoteric knowledge, like the whole secret doctrine.
Yeah.
Was her like manifesto. And I don't know, like I'm not an expert on her by any means, but that's, I don't know. Did you have any thoughts about Blavatsky and theosophy and
well, again, I think that it's hard to like. I don't know. I'm not sure where I fit in this. One of the things that you said though that is really resonating with me is uniformed, because we don't really have a uniformed identity anymore as spiritualists. There does seem to be these little tentacles of break off, of different belief systems. If you look at the historic foundation of spiritualism, it really was evidential mediumship. It was the proof of the continuity of life. It was, I have your uncle Joe John Silver, who, made horseshoes, and his horse was named Lucky, and he, got ran over by the horse or something.
Yeah.
Very, very evidential. And when we say evidential, I mean it in a scientific looking form where it's facts, not necessarily guesstimations or
it's
assumptions.
Veridical evidence, empirical. It's based in objective reality.
Yeah. And so, like, when you talk about the theory of reincarnation and do spiritualists believe or not believe, it's not that we have to pick one side or the other, but it can't, you said it right, it can't really be proven. We don't know with a scientific clear yet. I say yet.
Internal, it's subjective, because people have their own experiences, but how are they going to share that in an evidential manner with somebody else that they'll know in a concrete way that that's fact, that's proven scientifically? It needs to happen objectively. And I just don't think technology is there yet, or if it'll ever. I don't know if that's even provable. So right. I don't take a stance, well, maybe I do, but.
Well, you're allowed to take a stance, and you're allowed to change your stance opinion. Like for me, if we're infinite, to me, it's like, okay, there's a probability that I possibly live again. There's a probability that we're all the same person living the same experience, just a different expression. I mean, I am always open to the possibilities, but until it can be completely defined for me, I have a hard time when somebody's like, oh, I've been here 47 times and this is what I've done, and this is the only planet I go to. And not saying that there aren't the Arcturians or the, Palladians or whatever. I can barely figure out the human race. So I have no time. If I'm infinite, I will figure out other dimensional races after I figure out humanity first, because I feel like I'm here for the human experience.
Yeah. Task at hand.
Task at hand. So let's break it down, because one of the things I always hear is traditional spiritualist. Well, we're traditional. Mm-hmm. What do you feel a traditional, or do you have a traditional spiritualist classified, or what do you feel is a traditional or purist spiritualist?
Oh, yeah. Well, I always thought I was looking for the right words to call how do I identify myself? Because I've always kind of been a traditional oriented person, And then, so the pastor of my church, we were having a conversation recently, and someone had referred to her as an Orthodox spiritualist. And I just
Mm.
got a little shiver go up my spine. I'm like, oh, that's so perfect. Because I felt like I was validated. Um, yeah, I'm a traditionalist. I'm Orthodox. I'm also evidential. So like, I appreciate the perspectives of like the NSAC and the SNU, like the approaches to the way they organize their churches and their associations and their mediumship standards and their terms and definitions and the objects, like what is this
Mhm.
specifically. And I
Mhm.
I don't I tend to be a little bit absolute, and I catch myself sometimes trying to keep an open mind because those definitions are so they're outlined so beautifully. And I just like, and it's not like one person that's just like, wrote all this down. It's like these conventions over the years and all of like these powerful minds like coming together and having these conversations and kind of defining like what the spiritualist movement was in its heyday and kind of carrying that torch forward. Like that's like what hits all my buttons and bells and stuff. So like that's how I identify.
Mhm.
But what about you? You identify a certain kind of a way, don't you?
I sure do. I
How would
bet
you
you.
identify?
Oh, yeah. How do I identify? I love it. Well, first we need to hear out. Well, I'll tell you how I
Okay.
feel I identify, but I do want to hear some classifications that you have kind of, thought up,
You
as
just
an
want
idea.
me to list them out?
Yeah, let's list them out first.
Okay, so like orthodox, evidential, like I kind of feel like they go hand in hand. Maybe like evidential spiritualist is kind of under the umbrella of orthodox.
Sure.
But you can put other things under the umbrella of evidential spiritualism, like scientific spiritualists.
Morris Pratt has that on his headstone. I think that I might actually fall under a little bit of that category. Sure.
I think we all do. And
Sure.
your last episode with the lovely Miss Diane
Yeah.
had me thinking a little bit because I've always been like paranormalists, spiritualists, like no, get away, oil
Right.
and water. But they're really like when I was thinking about all of these kind of classifications, I'm like, well, they're scientific, they're evidentialists, they're pushing forward, they're finding new technologies and new ways of communicating, and it's happening kind of more in a objective sense, because it's something that everyone kind of partakes of in a group type setting.
Yeah.
But then you also have the scientific spiritualists like that study the OBEs and the NDEs and
Yeah.
like so like the Moody people and Eben Alexander and all those guys. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if they call themselves spiritualists, but I kind of do because they're studying from a scientific perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't remember the guy's name now. Crystal Conley, who was studying the brain waves of mediums when they alter into different states. I find that fascinating.
He's in the UK, I think that
Yeah,
guy.
I think he is. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's the right guy. But yeah, I find that kind of stuff fascinating. You know,
Absolutely. It kind of goes over my head because I'm so busy focused on like, oh, how do I just get a communicator and do the mediumship?
yeah.
Like I don't know. I've never had a near death experience, so I like maybe I should try that sometime. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, so we have Orthodox. We have what else on the list?
Okay,
Keep
we got
going through.
orthodox,
Scientific, evidential.
scientific, evidential. How about Christian spiritualist?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Oh, interesting. Okay, no, I'm going to try to make it make sense.
Because
And
I can't. I've tried. I can't.
well, interesting. This question actually came up in Thought Exchange, and just a quick little what's the right word? Blip for the Thought Exchange held in Louisville on Wednesdays and Saturdays at the Octagon Building. But
Shameless.
somebody said, "Can I be Christian and be a spiritualist?" And that was a question that arose. And Christian spiritualism was kind of a thing. But
Definitely.
so was Baptist spiritualism, Methodist spiritualism, because think about very first few decades of our movement, we were still defining who we are and what we are and what is our organization going to look like and when, what does our religion look like? And it's not like we just formed in 1848 and had a degree that you could go get and become a spiritualist minister.
Right. Yeah.
So you had a lot of people who were ministers of other faiths also campaigning the cause of continuity and communication.
It was a new technology of the time, spirit communication. They just want to, I'll take that, I'll put that in my pocket, we'll use it when it's necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I think some of it, of the Christian faith also came with it, right? Because these were ministers who had, backgrounds in Christianity. And Christian spiritualism was actually a thing. There's still one Christian spiritualist camp, I believe, in Michigan.
Yeah, Snowflake.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Okay. Well, there's the Kansas one kind of identifies as Christian spiritualist too, the Sunset Spiritual Camp. And there's organizations like the Greater World Organization is a network of Christian spiritualist churches. I think that they're over in Europe.
So it depends though, because a few of the Christian spiritualists that I've talked to, like I talk to more Christians who believe in mediumship than I do talk to Christian spiritualists. So, I mean, if you identify as a Christian spiritualist, let us know.
Yeah, I definitely want to know. Send me your principles because I need to analyze those. It's the whole thing for me is the vicarious atonement.
That's my thing too.
I just if we're personally responsible and we can reform here or hereafter, why do we need salvation? What is this duality of heaven and hell? Like, I don't know. Make it make sense.
Well,
call us up. The number's on the bottom of your screen.
I wish that would be cool, but you could make a comment and we could, read your comments. But, the thing is I think that at least let me share in the conversation that happened at the thought exchange, right?
Yeah.
Where they believed Jesus, the man, as a very clear channel of living here on the earth plane, of surviving the earth plane and all of its stuff. And so when we brought up vicarious atonement, a lot of them all agreed that it's not, I can just go to a priest, confess my sins, and I am cleansed, because they do believe in that personal responsibility.
Okay.
But they try to live with the Jesus conscious or the Christ consciousness, which again is just for me, it's an open thought, type of thing. The heaven and hell, I think sometimes it might make sense, Tom, because, bad things happen to good people. And sometimes we have to identify, like, I don't buy into, I choose everything bad that happens to me because I can't, because somebody can inflict something on me. That's their choice. How I respond to it, how I deal with it, that's my responsibility.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people need to place that person who did something bad somewhere to help them get through the human construct of the trauma, of the crisis. And they do that by the belief of karma, which is not really, do not use spiritual law of karma as a punishment for others.
What are you talking about?
Or the hell concept, negative, positive, evil, holy, because of that duality here on the human plane. So, I mean, I don't know much more about, Hi. Oh, yeah.
Are we getting, all right. Hi, everybody.
Some comments. I love it. Hi, David. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Lynn. Hi, CL. But yeah, you are responsible for your own atonement. Ask forgiveness from God, the person you harmed. Ask for that accountability. So
thank you, Kelly. Yeah,
that's really great. Okay, so we have Christian spiritualism. What's next? And then I know there's more in there we got to get through.
There's more. Okay, should we talk about what's the word? The infiltration of the metaphysics and the New Age thought. Is that a fair word to use?
I don't think infiltration is a fair word. Here's the thing though. And I'm not pointing fingers or blame at any one person or one group of people or anything, right? I do feel though that the art of discussion and debate within the spiritualist movement has lost its gusto.
Oh yeah.
It's always been there, but mediumship, especially evidential mediumship, has kind of overpowered, I think, some of the aspects of spiritualism, right? Because, what do you think about that thought?
I don't know. Let's dissect that a little bit. You mean there needs to be more room for people to find their own woo-woo and make sense of it?
Well, their own experience. Yeah, their own experience with spirit and make sense of it.
Okay.
Listen to me. It is always important that evidence is proven first. You should, if you choose, this is the other thing, you have a choice to become a spiritualist. You don't have to. You can practice spiritualist things within whatever religion you choose. But if you choose to become a spiritualist engaged in a spiritualist community, such as Lilydale, or a spiritualist church, such as the churches in Lilydale, you're making a proclamation to yourself, to spirit, to humanity, that you are a spiritualist. The evidential mediumship should get you into the curiosity of spiritualism.
I hope so.
And I don't even think hope. I feel like I know because I've seen it. I've experienced it myself. I've seen it with all the churches and camps I've been to. You see these people get evidential readings that have proved to them beyond a doubt that their loved one continues.
Okay.
That they start thinking about, well, if life is continuous, what does that mean for me?
It's daunting, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, it should expand into the different ways spirit contacts us through healing, through spirit guides, through, mediumship, through inspiration, through natural and spiritual laws. It should continue to pull it in. Now, let's talk about the infiltration. I don't know if I really like that word, but how did we get here? How did we get here? And I feel like
it's always been around. People always carry the decks in their pockets, and they gotta, have a little pendulum or something. I mean, there's like a cross contamination. You see like things like the spirit board becoming the Ouija board, and like this idiomotor effect, and kind of getting results from spiritual influence, maybe, or maybe it's our own influence. This is where the evidence gets hard to discern which is which. An oracle deck or a tarot deck, like depending on how many cards, like pretty nuanced, but essentially it's the same thing as a magic 8-ball. If you could ask spirit, oh, what do I need to hear? Let me shake the ball, and whatever it says goes. It's the same thing. You shuffle your cards, whatever one comes up is the one that spirit is supposed to give to me right now, or something like that. But it's a finite number of things. It's algorithmic in a way, if that makes sense.
It does. It absolutely does. I think that, the New Age, again, looking at the history timeline of spiritualism, right? We in the very early parts, probably up until the mid, 40s, 50s, when I really feel like a lot of churches started to boom. Like they really started to claim their spiritualist, orthodox. So orthodoxism. That's the right word.
Excellent vocabulary.
And at the same time, you had all this kind of metaphysical New Age things coming in. Now, the standard, because I started first in the NSA or the NSAC, right? So I started first. They say a lot of all of those are divination. They're tools. They're things that are needed for validation. I personally think a spirit board, or AKA Ouija board, is fantastic. And honestly, I bet you they were in almost every seance parlor in the very beginning of our movement. And it was through either TV or leaders, they decided to name it bad. Tarot is also tarot. We really can't put in the New Age movement. It's older than spiritualism.
Yeah.
The
It's
actual
lumped
thing.
in with that. Maybe I misspoke, but it does kind of get lumped into that world.
It does. And I think that some of it needs, some of it is a need for human validation. But I think that, like, I see that Seal had asked a question. She says, I know people who identify as spiritualists and they're not evidential at all.
I know.
Are they just into having validation for the woo-woo? So is someone like that an actual spiritualist, or just interested in metaphysical, etc. topics? And I think that you can be a spiritualist and still play with an oracle card deck.
Oh,
I think though that, you have to take metaphysical, things as tools, as, if it's your truth, if it's your end all and be all, I guess that's fine. But again, bringing back some of the evidence, that proof, is important. Like for me, I say this all the time. I came to Lilydale. I got a reading from Carol Gasper. Now, this would have been, Google was around, but I highly doubt Carol knew how to Google. And, like she just hit some things like, what, like, what, and I got this message that blew me away. And then that, ended me in to the, like, jumped off the cliff into the spiritualist ocean. And now that I know life is continuous, I don't believe, I don't think, I affirm.
Yeah.
Some days though, Tom, I have a really hard time just getting through the day. And I like the psychic. Now let's bring metaphysical and psychicness in.
Sure.
I like the psychic ability to get a inspiration or a encouragement or a validation by flipping a card. Because my humanness takes, my spirit people are always here going, duh, Stacy, everything's going to be fine. Yeah. And my human brain is like, but is it really?
You need something to kind of take you there. You need the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I totally get it.
But here's what I'll say. Does it belong in a church service? Absolutely not.
All right.
Is it a
one page there?
Is it a religious practice? I need to talk to people. I need more information before, originally I want to say that it's not a religious practice, but then I might just be disrespecting another religious form.
Yeah, I'm not aware of a specific religion that, has adopted all of these kind of things. I think it's more of a personal spirituality, personal practice of like, yes, I have all of this beautiful spiritualism over here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to shuffle this up and just see what happens. I'm just curious. It's exponential. It's like the plug-in, the expander pack.
Well, and, Seal just wrote another comment that's good too. A lot of it is, people need to have validation. Is this really what I'm getting? Is this really what Spirit's saying? How do I know? Now I will tell you, taking a weekend course in mediumship is not going to make you a medium.
Right.
It's not going to make you an evidential medium either. But practicing or using something that you understand, Spirit will work with you. They will use things that you understand to learn to trust the communication that you're having with Spirit. But ultimately, the tools are not necessarily needed, but you have to get yourself there too, so it is interesting. Okay. So metaphysical spiritualist, okay. What else? Tell me what else we
got. How about spiritism?
Alan
Kardec, which isn't even his real name.
The Book of Mediums, right?
Yeah. Hippolyte Leon Denizar Revial. For those
Thank you
of
for
our
saying that.
listeners, gentle listeners who speak French, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's the guy. And I don't know much about Spiritism. I try and just put that over there and identify myself with spiritualism.
Yeah.
But I know they do kind of absorb some of that reincarnation stuff.
They do. They also very much believe, obviously, in mediumistic abilities, healing. They have a almost non-attachment to material. Like, so there is no money exchanged. At least what my understanding about true spiritism is, there is never a financial exchange for the gifts from spirit.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now that was told to me by a spiritist who was visiting Lilydale a couple years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
So I wonder if they have like an orthodox, strict part of spiritism, and then maybe a more.
I know they have organizations
liberal
and stuff, so yeah, it's probably nuanced, but yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
Well, I'm intrigued too by the aspect of, because you hear people, no matter how they identify or what types of spiritualists they are, that, you know, mediumship is a service. It's a service of spirit. It's a service to humanity. Yeah. And then, you know, my understanding is spiritism doesn't put a price tag on that.
I love that. I mean, it is a sacred office, you know, being mediumistic in general. It's like, that's quite a responsibility. And I don't like, I'm still young in the game. I've never taken $1 for any kind of mediumship. And I wonder, I don't know, how does that feel? How did it feel taking money for the first reading that you did? Like, I don't know how I would love to, like.
That's such an interesting conversation, you know, because if you look at natural and spiritual law, what you put out, you bring back, right? But at the same time, we have this humanness. Like I've always said, I can't pay my electric bill with good karma. Like I've tried, like, hi, I just really think I want lights. And I really, you know, trying hard. And how do you be of service? How do you put a price tag on it? You know, that's oh my God, that could be a show all on its own, you know, because you have the human reality of our world blended with the spirituality of our continuous energy. And somehow they have to work together in harmony. And so I think that harmony point is like the elusive perfect level dot that you're trying to find and balance, you know. It is interesting because I truly do believe that the universe takes care of us in a way we need. But at the same time, we have that personal responsibility, like that healing prayer. I will do my part. Yeah. So I have to do something to pay the bill. You know, I have to do something to, you know, and what is that? Like, should I be, you know, working this life, you know, as a doctor, a nurse, you know, a teacher? Well, they don't really make as much money, but, you know, do I live this life and have this career? But then how do I be of service to spirit when I'm worn out working 40 hours, 60 hours a week just to pay for my basic care?
Yeah, I guess it's a fine line. Because like, if I was like taking my next client so I could pay my phone bill, I don't know if I would feel good about that. You know, so there's just,
it is. Okay, spiritism. I love this. I want to get through all 10, and then I want to talk about who we identify as. And
we have plenty of time. Okay.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm just making sure. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Well, let's go to. You're going to have to help me with this because it still doesn't make sense to me. Independent spiritualism.
It doesn't make sense to you.
Why do people even say I'm independent? Like, what? You're just a spiritualist. Why do you have? I don't go around saying I'm national, or do I? I don't know.
I don't know. I think sometimes you do, in all honesty, but I love that.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know. Like when I hear people say, "Oh yes, we're independently associated," I'm like, that's an oxymoron. That doesn't make sense.
So fun fact for our listeners or anything, I belong to an independent spiritualist church that was formed, I think I think the probably idea or the seed of it was planted, maybe the mid 80s, came to fruition around the same time, right? And there are quite a few independent, spiritualist churches. What does that mean? I think for me, it means kind of twofold. It means we're breaking off from what the traditional spiritualism might be. Now, I know independent churches, though, that very much still follow the tradition. Oh, there's a
Really?
camp. Oh, well, think about the camp down south.
Oh, Casadega, yeah, they're pretty
Yeah,
good.
they're independent.
They're independent, but they use the NSAC
Well,
principles and the definitions and all the.
they're still independent.
They use the
Same thing
manual.
with Chesterfield. There are independent camps, churches, associations, independent. I think that some of it is done due to the fact of the traditional way. I will say this. There is a big, in my personal opinion, misunderstanding about reincarnation and the NSAC.
Yeah, let's clear that up.
Because and I say this, and Tom knows, but maybe our listeners don't. Like I said, for 8-10 years of I think it was more like 10-12 years of my time in spiritualism, I was very much a part of the NSAC. I carried all their credentials. I was the administrator of Morris Pratt Institute. I was on the board of the NSAC. I was the director of the missionary department. So when you talk about it, I was there, right? So one of the misconceptions is spiritualists don't believe in reincarnation, and that's not true. There are a lot of spiritualists who believe in the theory of reincarnation.
I've met tons of NSAC spiritualists that believe in reincarnation.
So you can absolutely, because here's the thing, no religion should control what you think of as theories, right? As theories. So the theory of reincarnation is completely accepted. What's not accepted is reincarnation messages, or I'm going to put myself out on a limb, which might come back to bite me in the butt. I think you can even talk about it from the platform as a theory. Got to
be real careful. I mean, one of my friends just got pulled off platform for talking about reincarnation. Unfortunately.
So unfortunately, then what it means is that reincarnation, the theory, cannot be talked about from the platform and or demonstrated within the mediumship portion of religious services. That's my take on it.
So essentially past life messages.
Right. But it doesn't say you can't believe in reincarnation and be an NSAC member. You can.
Yeah,
but it's just
as fact. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's a very deep misconception. But there are people now who have, through their own understanding, reincarnation is a truth to them. And so the independent allow for that truth to be discussed. Doesn't mean that it's my truth, though. Like I said, I still struggle a lot with, the whole just coming to earth. Like, why can't I be a whale in an air ocean in a dimension of algae creatures? Then maybe I'd talk to, I'd want to talk more about it. It's a theory for me that my mind,
I can't comprehend that.
I can't comprehend it all. And God bless the people who can. And here's the thing. I hope they allow for me to believe what I believe, and they're allowed to believe what they believe.
Absolutely.
There's that allowing aspect.
And I always like to hear people's spiel on it, because it's there's no common denominator. It's like this person thinks this way, this person thinks that way, that person thinks, and there's no level ground to meet on. It seems like everyone has their own ideas of it. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's totally, because that's the thing. So like the independent aspect is, maybe a different thought or theory that might be more truth in that particular, organization or that particular church. they're all subtle differences, but let's face it, we're humans and we get emotionally attached, politically attached, socially attached to truths that, inevitably seem to, I don't know, get carried away, in my opinion.
I always see it as a political thing, like, oh, this group of people, we don't agree with how they think spiritualism is, so we're just going to write our own principles and we're going to stay over here and we don't have to answer to anybody.
Well, I think that that's stretching it a little. I hear what you're saying and I respect what you're saying. I also think there's a proudness of independence. Like, this is a body of people who have chosen to feel that this is the way they want to go. And they get people of like mind. To me, it doesn't really, there's a historical aspect that I want to be all one and kumbaya. And then there's also the reality, I think, too. And this is where I feel like spiritualism, the movement, and the people within the movement, if you want to call them the current pioneers, the past pioneers. And when I say past, I don't mean our original founders. I mean the ones from the 60s, 70s, and 80s who might now be in the spirit world.
Yeah.
I wonder if they kept up with the evolution of spiritualism or not. It's just a thought. I'm not saying that they didn't or didn't. Again, not pointing fingers. I just feel that, as we grow and evolve, going back to the standard foundations of spiritualism, yes. But remember that they were way broader sometimes, I feel, back then as they are now, more socially though. In different aspects that way. But
yeah. And it is definitely a constant evolution. I'm kind of curious to see where it's going to go. I've heard a lot of people say different things. Yeah, I've heard, well, there's the Emma Harding Britton's, the 3 phases.
3 phases.
I don't even know where we fall into that tier at the moment. It was physical, and then it was kind of trance-inspired work. Now we're kind of into this mental mediumship mode. And now I feel like we're on the crest of the wave of, transitioning to something different, something new, perhaps.
Yeah. Or an evolution of something of the past. It doesn't have to be new. It can be, there's a borderline of respecting, because there is big confusion about being spiritual and being a spiritualist. And those are two.
Right. That's my big thing with the independent churches. I'm like, okay, the yoga and the crystal bowls are cool, but can we just, what about this over here? What about evidence? What about, there's things like I feel like get glossed over sometimes because we're so focused on this shiny diamond over here.
So interesting, Tom. And I know I've said this to you, and I know some of you have heard this before. And next month's guest is Simon James, and he is a spiritualist minister in Canada, also part of the SNU. And he's going to be a guest. And I went to a talk that he did on March 31st, which is the Advent of Modern Spiritualism for us here in America. A lot of people call it Hydesville Day, and I know in the SNU calls it Hydesville Day. He had said, and this is what's interesting to me, he had said that through just human anthropology, right? You have 200 years to make something stick as truth before it starts to dissolve, right? And spiritualism is at what, 148, 150, something like that?
170 something.
Okay, so we don't have many years left, right? And he said when the spiritualist movement first evolved, it was very highly evidential, and it was very much proving the continuity of life. But he said, and I'm probably goofing it up, and so you can all listen to him next month when he actually says it himself. But he said, if you look at people back then and you polled people of the world, they had a faith or a belief in an afterlife. And it was 80% controlled by their religion. It wasn't proven a fact. So when spiritualism came in and started to make it a truth, a fact, because it was supposed to enhance, Moses Hall said, it was supposed to enhance all religion, because all religion believes in an afterlife, but spiritualism proves it through evidential mediumship, right? Now, when you ask people, do they believe in an afterlife? A lot of people know there is one. And he said it best. It gave me shivers. It gave me the little things, when you heard Orthodox spiritualist, it gave me shivers when he said, but now they know there's an afterlife, but they need to know how to live for tomorrow.
Mm.
And so those bowls or that yoga is a technique to get people through today or tomorrow, to continue to gain the knowledge of more, right? So I say that I understand what you're saying, Tom. I get it. I hear you. I don't want to say I was you, but much of my thoughts.
No, I get it.
And it's
Go
an
ahead.
interesting, it's an interesting concept now, because most people don't. This would be an interesting poll. We should poll people.
Can we do that? How do we set that up?
How do we set that up? Because I bet you, even through the 70s and 80s, most people found a spiritualist camp because of grief, because of the loss of somebody. I find that a lot of people here, especially the younger generations that are, and this is not an ageism thing. This is just, there are a lot of people coming to spiritualist camp looking for advice of how to live tomorrow versus being connected to grandma who's still alive and they don't know their ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I feel spiritualism needs to start stepping up. I'm not saying evidential mediumship isn't important, but this is where natural and spiritual laws, the philosophy of spiritualism, should be just as well known as evidential mediumship.
I would love that. I think a lot of people get distracted. Maybe they get burned, or they start losing interest from perhaps a quality of mediumship. Because I know, like, spirit can come through and give you that knowledge and give you like what you need to know for tomorrow. That, it's not just bereavement,
right?
Because there's grief of all kinds. It's not just death. Like maybe you lost a job, maybe your kid went to college. Along those lines, you sold your car that you had for 20 years. There's just things, grief of all kinds. So like we can get advice from our spirit friends. Maybe they're not our direct ancestors, maybe they are spirit guides, but that knowledge is out there. I think the other kind of stuff is more of a comfort. It's a creature comfort of the human condition. We got to catch up on the comments.
I was just catching up on some comments. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we would be ignorant to say that some of these breakoffs or some of these, these classifications are just something that Tom came up with that I love, because there's so many blurred lines within spiritualism right now. Like I've been told, some things I do is in spiritualism. Well, says who? And tell me why. Like, come and have a conversation. And, like, is it just like how we're having a conversation? Is a Ouija board spiritualism? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's how it used to happen back in the day. It's not just argument and disagreement. It's like, I put it to you that God exists. Oh, I put it to you that God does not exist. And then they have this polite discourse and they figure it out.
Yeah. That's what thought exchanges were. They had debates. How many books did Moses Hall write, of the great debates he's done over time? There was those, you can still have the humanhood of man, but have disagreements in different frequencies. It's natural law.
Well, yeah. Even in the spirit world, I'm still going to be Tom Daly when I get there. I'm not going to be, some enlightened master philosopher. I'm just going to be who I am, just a different expression. We're running out of time. I have a question to ask you.
Yeah.
What kind of spiritualist are you?
Yeah, right. Good one. So we haven't really talked about mine. It hasn't been on the list. Here's what I am. I think that I am, I would say, traditional in the history aspect, because I do like to look back on our past and all of our past. not just the good, but the ugly and the dirty too. I like to look at the evolution of humanity through that time of that movement. So I am traditional in the aspect of I like the term infinite intelligence. Am I going to get my panties in a bundle if somebody uses the word God? No, because that's what they might need. I personally, like infinite intelligence. I probably will also put I'm a little, besides evidential or traditional, whatever that is scientific, right? I love talking about energy and how energy acts and responds. I also would probably put myself as the great book that I read, Radical Spirits, or Radical Progressive Spiritualist, right? Or a social reformist spiritualist, because that's also a huge part of our movement.
Absolutely.
And, the thing is I truly, absolutely, wholeheartedly believe in the law of oneness. Absolutely. I do know that all of us, regardless if you like me or hate me, you are still a part of me and I'm still a part of you, because that's the law of oneness. But until we can rise above the human emotions and all energy and frequency becomes the same, we have a duty to humanity to rise others. And love is not love until everyone is loved. And so I will fight for those unloved until everyone's loved. So I'm probably radical and progressive in that sense. And I think about, the struggles of those from the past, and I want to live that. I want to understand it more. And I'll also put myself as an extremely curious spiritualist.
Yeah,
I'm never going to be satisfied.
I think that should be in the dictionary. The word spiritualism, it's like see also curiosity, because there's something about it that's like infectious, and there's always a page to turn. There's always something more to learn.
Yeah.
That rhymed. That was interesting.
I love it. That was great.
But yeah, so historically, what I mean, I don't think at the time they were calling themselves progressive spiritualists.
No.
But what were those people doing, and what did they care about? We're talking about the women suffragists, right? And the Native American reformers.
Yeah.
And abolitionists.
Even the LGBTQ community, all of that it was accepted in spiritualist camps well beyond the first brick thrown, but they had to fight for that. They had to, and they still do, so no, it really, to me, it matters. It's that idea of forward thinking. If you look at spiritualist churches in their heyday, right? I think about the church that I used to pastor in, Milwaukee used to have 3 huge spiritualist churches, hundreds of members. Chicago, what's the one? Chicago had 4 or 5, and you're talking hundreds of members. And you know what was most important is they were active. They were having dinners, dances, classes. They were going out, helping others, having parties, they were extending themselves. They just didn't come to church on Sunday. They were actively involved in their community, doing things, cleaning parks, soup kitchens, dinners, whatever it is, they were active. Not just, we're going to get together on Sunday and then go to church and then maybe go out to lunch. And then, maybe we'll, go out and do something together as a group. Like we do, let's go to the movies. Let's go to Applebee's at 9:00 at night. Right. That's great. And we love that.
Let's go.
Is it time? 9:00 appetizers. But they would also be out. You would watch them fundraise for other organizations, or, they were out in their communities known as that church that does that. There was a lot of, and I feel that's important. I feel like we need to redo that again.
It's kind of gotten shuffled around with the times. We're such busy people, and we're very easily distracted, aren't we?
We are.
It's like we got to see what's going on here and over there and what's online and all that.
Yeah, we all have that. What is it? Fear of missing out.
FOMO.
FOMO. So we get super distracted. Oh, Tom, thank you so much for this conversation this evening. I definitely feel like we should keep going with it because we really need to try to understand, how you identify as a spiritualist may not be how your neighbor identifies as a spiritualist.
That's fair to say. Yes.
Yeah. So have the conversation, have the discussions, figure out what works for you and be kind and compassionate, to your neighbors, your strangers, your friends, those who need to be friends, and your family. Just try to figure out you and the rest will all fall in tow. But it's always been a pleasure, Tom, to have you on. If you only knew how many conversations Tom and I do have on
I know this wasn't even like we had some pretty good ones. I've often turned to you and just said, I don't know why we should just do a podcast or something. Like that was gold. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we'll continue.
I'm looking forward to the box set.
There you go. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Michelle, we're so glad that you did find Lilydale. I just wanted to say that we're grateful that you found us too. And a reminder that Lilydale is in full swing and full season. And you can come, enjoy the day, take classes, get readings, have conversations, go to the healing temple, find peace within the woods and the streets and within porches. And thank you for watching tonight. I know some of our Lilydale Radio guest hosts are taking breaks, but you can watch old episodes on the Lilydale YouTube channel. You can also find it on the Lilydale Facebook Assembly page. Please, if you're in the area and you're curious, come to Lilydale. I mean, you're going to experience Lilydale in all of its glory when we're in full season. So come to Lilydale, check out our museum. It's a wealth of information. Check out our library. It's a wealth of information. Have conversations and keep asking. Stay curious. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Who Are These Spiritualists? It's the fourth Sunday of every month. Tom, thank you for being our guest. Next month, we have Reverend Simon James. And, I can't wait for you to hear. I'm just going to give him the microphone the whole time because he inspired me so much by his talk that he gave on Hydesville Day, because he talks a lot about different and deeper thoughts of where spiritualism should go. So we'll see you all next month. Everyone, have a great evening. Have fun. Oh, you know what, Tom? We never discussed. What? People are mediums who aren't spiritualists, but that's okay too.
Oh yeah.
A future topic for our box set.
Non-secular mediumship.
Yeah.
Stick with this.
All right. Part 3 coming soon in a couple months. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Keep an even mind.
Ah, great.